That is such a great story because it's telling about how Jesus went and met this woman where she was at. So just in case you didn't know, this woman, she was at the well by herself in the midday heat where it was really, really hot. And it would have been customary for the women to go down earlier in the morning when it was cool to get water. But she was by herself later on. The Bible says it was in the 6th hour, which would have been around midday from sunlight. And actually how Jesus met her, but she was removed from society. She was away from people. Jesus speaks things about her life, about how she's been married and she's been widowed and she's gone through a lot and she would have been removed from society. But Jesus, he welcomed her. He spoke with her. Like, rabbis didn't even speak to women. That would have been a no-no. But the fact that not only that, Jesus spoke to her and had this revelation shared to the woman that he is the Messiah. So there was that heart of welcome and how Jesus has an open heart to welcome everyone. Because not only was she a woman in this culture, she was from Samaria. And that group was hated. They were looked down on. There wasn't fondness towards them. But Jesus wanted to welcome everyone. And that message is something that we want to explore a little bit more that Jemima's going to come share in a minute. But what we're going to do now, as we go into another time of sung worship, there are some post-it notes in your boxes, on your tables. And what we want you to do is during the worship to write down some ways in which we can welcome people. How can we welcome people well? It doesn't just have to be inside the church. It can be inside our schools, inside the clubs that we go to, when we go to the shops. How do we give a good welcome? And then during the worship, write those down and come put them on the board just to my left, your right. And then Jemima's going to take us from there, okay?
So today we're thinking about how we can have an open heart to welcome. And Jesus was the perfect example of that. He's the perfect example in everything. But that's what we're thinking about today. How to love and how to welcome. Now we picked just one story where Jesus has an open heart to welcome, but there's so many from his life, where he welcomes those who are judged by others, who are looked down on, or create... I don't know what I was going to say there. In our story today, Jesus welcomes the woman at the well, the woman who's been outcast by society. The rest of the village have said, you're not worth our time or our attention, and we don't want to spend that with you, and we're going to block ourselves and distance ourselves from us. But Jesus comes along, willing to give her time, care, and love, and an open heart to welcome her. During our worship, we thought about what makes a good welcome. And you're welcome to come read these all later, but I'll just give you a summary of some of the top hits. Smile came up a lot about food and drink, hospitality, a lot about asking for names and introducing. And that's what we think makes a good welcome. But how often does our welcome look a bit different? I need 2 volunteers. Harry, yeah, Ollie, great, come on, classic. Right, one of you stand here. Good job. Harry, come stand over here. Excellent, right. Can you hold my Bible? Thanks. So what's going to happen is, Ollie is going to try and tell you what he did at the weekend, what he did yesterday. Okay, Ollie? That's what you're going to do, right. But just before we do that, can you put on my headphones? Great, thanks. Right, shall I put the music on or can you hear me? Right, I'll connect the Bluetooth. Oh, where's the button? You've put them on the wrong way. Great. Tell me if it's too loud, okay? Because we don't want you to hear anything. Oh, you can have some Disney music. There you go. Is it loud enough? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you sing us what you're listening to? Do you know the song? It's under... Great, you ready? Tell Harry what you did at the weekend. What did you do yesterday? What did you have for breakfast? Tell him anything.
I think I had cereal for breakfast.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said? Can you hear him? No. It's really hard to welcome him, isn't it? Because you can't hear anything. Yeah, this is going great. Right. I'll turn this off. You can stop. Thanks, guys. You can go sit down. What just happened is what he said. How often, St. Edyth is a great place of welcome, but sometimes we have downfalls. Sometimes we aim to be smiley, happy, loving, kind, but sometimes we end up with our headphones on and a block in front of us, so we can't welcome someone else. And sometimes that block might look a bit like this. Sometimes we can not welcome people because maybe we're a bit prideful. Maybe we think we're a bit better than the other person and they're not worth it. Maybe we judge. Maybe we know people and we think, oh, look at them, they're covered in tattoos or have got a mohawk, and we judge them and we think, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to welcome you. Maybe we're rushing. I caught myself doing that this week. As someone came up and started talking to me and I was too busy thinking about the job I needed to go to. And I was like, Jemima, you're preaching on this on Sunday. What are you doing? And I really had to concentrate on welcoming that person and engaging in that conversation, even though I had a million other jobs to do. Or maybe we're just a bit uncaring at times. We just think, oh, I just can't. I don't think this person's worth my time or my love. Or maybe we're a bit self-centered. Maybe we're too focused on what we need to do and what we want to tell the people. Maybe we don't listen, but we just talk. St. Edyth is a wonderful place of welcome, but a challenge for us. Are we always welcoming with an open heart? A heart that's humble, a heart that's slow, a heart that's non-judgmental, a heart that allows others to be put first, a heart that's caring to everyone. When Jesus welcomed the woman at the well, he knew about her life. He knew that she'd been outcast. She knew she'd made mistakes. Yet he told her, I love you. You are special to me. And I'm going to listen, and I'm going to care, and I'm going to spend time with you. It's a big challenge. It's a hard challenge. It requires holding up a mirror and saying, ooh, that's a bit of my heart that's not very open. So we're going to take a minute in our tables to chat. Can you have the question slide, Annabelle? Jesus wasn't at a church when he welcomed the woman. He was out and about. He was on his own journey, on his own job. Yet he stopped and had time for her. This week, not just on Sundays at church or when you come to the church in the week, but this week, when can you have an open heart to welcome? Maybe it's at school, maybe it's when you're going to the shops, maybe you've got a hairdresser appointment or someone coming to your house. Turn to the people around you, and you might want to talk about what blocks you from having an open heart to welcome. Or you might want to say, I'm going to try really hard this time this week to not have a closed heart. Turn to the people around you, and you've got 2 minutes. We're going to head into a bit of time of connection now. We're going to connect with God, and we're going to allow him to work on our hearts. Allow him to soften them so that we can have an open heart to welcome. But first, let's come to God and let's lift up some praise and thanks. In your head or whispering into your hands, why don't you tell God, 3 things or 3 people you are thankful for. It's always good to start with a bit of praise and thanks to remind us that God is powerful, He is mighty, and He is faithful. The Bible tells us to bring our petitions to God, but first with thanksgiving. And that's what we do. We've thanked Him, and now we ask for His help. We're going to think about those barriers that stop us in our welcome. On your table, we're going to do it a bit differently today. On your table, there's some boxes of Duplo in the blue ice boxes. What I want you to do is create a wall. As a bubble, as a table, come together and create a wall. Build your Duplo box into a wall together. And as you do this, as you put your bricks on top of them, why don't you tell God some of the barriers that stop you from having an open heart? Hopefully by now you've built your tower, you've built your wall, your barrier. Can you put your barrier on the table so everyone can see it? Everyone in your bubble can see. And as you look at that wall, let's remember how Jesus has an open heart to welcome us. How He loves us despite the flaws that we have, the mistakes we make, the times that we mess up. He loves us and He welcomes us again and again. Now what you're going to do is you're going to break your wall down. You're going to remove your pieces and ask God to remove those barriers, those hard parts of your heart, so you can have an open welcome. In your tables, take your barriers down, and as you do, just invite God to soften your hearts. Jesus, come and open our hearts to see where we have barriers. See where we are quick to judge, where we are prideful, where we rush. Remove the walls of our hearts so we can have an open heart to welcome like you did. Help us to welcome and live like you did. To not judge, to not rush, but to love and to care, to give time, to welcome. Thank you that you are our example of how to live, and we can be challenged by your stories, by how you lived. Come and bless each and every one of us to know the barriers in our hearts and to commit them and give them to you so that you can knock them down. Amen.